Hello and welcome to the Skating Lesson Recaps the ice dance event at the 2021 World Figure Skating Championships. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. And drum roll, please.
Today, we are thrilled to welcome three-time U.S. champion, Stars on Ice cast member, world professional champion, choreographer extraordinaire, Renée Roca. Renée, welcome back to the Skating Lesson.
Hi.
So, Renée, you obviously choreograph for all of these teams. You probably understand more not all of the dance teams, but I was going to bring into the pressure of trying to choreograph in a pandemic.
Oy.
What kind of a nightmare?
Well, I mean, first of all, I rarely work with ice dancers, rare, because I'm in Los Angeles. We don't have ice dancing here. So it's kind of pair country, pair territory, and singles, of course. But the pandemic was, oh my goodness. Well, we were locked up for, several weeks. Nobody could skate. And then as little things started to open, we were able to skate a little bit on special, privileged ice to try and get things going, because we weren't really sure if there was going to be a season, first of all, but we had to be prepared for one in case of. So it was literally inch by inch, a lot of work in the parking lot outdoors.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how difficult is it for an ice dancer, especially in today's world where it's about levels and subjectivity? If you land a triple Lutz, you kind of know how many points you're going to get. But so many of these ice dance teams are going in without having a lot of competitions. And, so some used old programs, but you don't really know how the judges are going to evaluate new material.
And it's really subjective. I mean, some of them, you can see a really obvious, terrific position on a lift. Sometimes you can see ugly legs maybe on a lift or flow in and out. Speed on spins is kind of easy to see, or whether it's centered. But when it comes to the steps and turns, that's where things get a little subjective, because I think from what I saw at Worlds, I think a lot of the 1 foot sequences, there were clear leaders in that, very well executed, and others who were getting credit for things that weren't so well. So I don't know. There were certain moments I just thought, what kind of a mark is that? They didn't do deep edge lobing, not as much, or speed or whatever it was. It's hard to read speed a little bit on camera. It's much easier in person, but it's subjective. That's all I can say.
And Renée, did you find that subjectivity in the levels or primarily in the GOE as they were sort of being awarded to certain
elements? A little
elements?
of both.
Okay.
A little of both, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was sort of clear to see who was being pushed and who was kind of being held back a little. Yeah.
I want to ask you about that, because you're talking about the 1 foot sequence and the levels. And when Hubbell and Donohue skated out, I thought, wow, if they skate really well here, they're within enough of a different, maybe they could have a Ty and Randy moment. We don't know, right? They're going out there, and the Russians have made mistakes in the past. Obviously, they have as well. But from that side by side, when they're the 1 foot step sequence, they were docked. I think the levels were 2 and 3 when they appeared on the screen, and it kind of felt like it was over.
I don't have notes about exactly the levels. But I will say something. To me, who had the best 1 foot sequence was Hawayek and Baker.
Okay.
The best. It was from their free dance. It was, I think, one of the first elements. It was on a circle, and it was soaring and pulling and drawing, and they were close together. And the edges were clear and round, where some of the other, even the top ones, a little bit short, quick. And I just thought they just got ripped off on that element for sure. It was, to me, the best of the event. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of the overall themes? I am so excited for the free dance. It's my favorite event of the year. We see all these different themes, and they all were kind of pleasant and snoozy this season. Everyone was just having a nice afternoon, calming session.
Pleasant is a nice word.
Yeah.
I missed seeing Papadakis and Cizeron. I did. I know there's been, for that free dance from this last season, there hasn't been a really super warm welcome to it. It was a little bit out there on a limb, but I loved it. I know a lot
I did too, yeah.
I thought it was poetic artistry. I just thought the concept, okay, you know, but the execution was, for me, they're special. So I really miss seeing that. Although I know that they would, if they would have competed at Worlds and brought that, I don't know what the judges would have done with it. But to me, like, I really missed seeing that. I was really sort of glad to see that Nikki and Vicky went back to their old free dance, because the Michael Jackson one, I didn't get it. To me, it wasn't as good. I really did like this program much better. So I think they did the right decision by going back to it. It was romantic. It was flowy. It was their thing. Piper and Paul, I don't understand. I'm not quite sure how to justify that was a number 2 free dance that pulled them up to the podium. I'm not sure. I thought Maddie and Zach skated great. It was nice to see them go back to their strength. And who am I leaving out? Chock and Bates. Love the snake program, but I felt like it was small. I was leaning forward and yelling at the screen, push, open it up, go. Because I think Maddie is one of the most exquisite creatures on the planet. And I just felt like, I don't know, it sort of looked like she was trying to go, and I don't know if he was struggling or tight a little bit more. I don't know, but
how long does it get that free dance fast and big?
Because there has to, I don't know, there just has to be freedom. I think there's some teams more than other, I think, that just have really good natural power and flow. I think Gabby and Guillaume are one of those. Their edges just ride and they go. Maddie and Hubbell Donohue also have a lot of power. They're just powerful couple. But I think if things get a little tight, or maybe somebody's a little injured, or a little something, like something hurts you, you can't go. You know what I mean? Like if you're just a little bit out of your rhythm, or you feel like you're protecting an injury, or something doesn't feel quite right, you're almost holding back not to let it out. You have to literally let your energy free, because everybody has, when you're competing, everybody has the adrenaline, and you feel like you want to jump out of your skin or run out of the building. Like that's the feeling. You just feel your stomach twisting. And you either can breathe and let it out, or if you contain it, that's when things get kind of tight, and you're just hoping that your legs and stamina will carry you. So I don't know,
Chock and Bates last year were on such a roll with this program, and it seemed like it was getting bigger, and it was, but then they were off, and I know that they missed time, I believe, to a concussion, and I don't know exactly how long they were off, but it seemed like they got behind and never caught up on their footing, right?
Yeah.
Like at nationals, it was small, and then this in the same way. And the one thing that I noticed is before the twizzles in the short dance, they came to almost a dead stop before. They actually broke speed, and they had a really low twizzle score, I think, because of that. And I know that he made a mistake in the free dance with it. It just seemed like maybe it was something on their mind or an injury, but
maybe because you remember something, nationals, didn't he miss a twizzle?
Perhaps.
Nationals and the free, and sometimes it jumps in your head and you're like, here's the one I missed here, and it, So yeah, I think there's certain elements that you feel a little bit anxious about, and maybe it was something in the head. I don't know.
Well, and I'm intrigued because something like the Snake Charmer program, I think even if it didn't have the most profound skating skills at all time, it had big performative qualities to it. So I wonder if the lack of audience at both nationals and at Worlds actually hindered them more than helped them with that kind of thing, if that inspires a push.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, when it was first introduced last year, it was like, everyone was like, the snake dance, and so you felt like it had momentum, and somehow the momentum shrank. I don't know, it shrank, it got, maybe it was injuries, maybe it was COVID, some lack of train. I don't know what it was, but something pulled back. Yeah. And, you know, it seemed like I liked it better last season, you know, and it was the right decision to bring it back because it's so stylized, you know, with all the little nuances. But if it had just blown the doors off with speed, that would have been wow. Yeah.
I'm intrigued because, oh, sorry, Dave, because you mentioned the strength of Hubbell and Donohue. And it was, as I was sort of watching all of this, especially having seen now a lot of these teams in person, where I used to love Stepanova Bukin a little bit more than when I saw them in person finally and realized maybe they don't cover as much ice or go as fast. But Hubbell and Donohue cover every inch of that ice surface and at like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they sort of remind me, as I'm trying to articulate it better, like a Midori Ito energy in this discipline. Like this is the team that's super athletic. And I just wish there was some sort of element like there is in the singles that they could be pushing technical content, because I wish there was a reward for something enormous and powerful that they could do that the others can't. And it just seems there's such limitations with the levels and the certain steps. I wish, I don't know, he could just throw into a quad lutz out of nowhere.
Certain things like we can all bring up points like, where's the explanation? You know, and it's, you know, like I said, the panel I think is a little funny sometimes internationally.
Not a kind panel.
There's an agenda. I feel like there was an agenda at Worlds. I do.
I thought there was, when you saw that the Polish team was in the second to last group for the warm up, I just didn't think they were at the same level as the other teams. Not to, you know, just, there are so many great teams at Worlds, and when
good point. Polish team, exactly.
All was Polish, so and someone that has maybe been partial in the past. So I did think that was a little. Also, with Hubbell and Donohue, the one thing is that I feel like they've been in their heads about material over the last years. They came up as this up-and-comer team that everyone rooted for, that maybe no one thought was going to win. And they were really fun to get behind because they took risks and they had energy. And then they got to be one of the top teams in the world. And it seems like they became more conservative. Would you advise them to go bigger and bolder for next season?
I don't know, because in Olympic season, gosh, you have to be so careful. You want to be original, but authentic. But if you go too far over the line with something that people are going to be questioning, like, ooh, you know, that you have to play to your strength, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in Olympic year, because if you take too much of a risk, it may not pay off. It might, and you take that risk. And if you say, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to do what I feel, and it's going to be risky, but I'm going to try and pull it off, then you have to accept that whatever comes back to you, you have to take that. And in Olympic year, I think a lot of people are going to do I can't say safe, but they're going to try and play to their strengths.
What would you say their strengths are? Obviously, they're skating. They're big, gorgeous.
Hubbell and Donohue.
Yeah.
They're aggressive, and they're very. They have a good connection. Aesthetically, I might prefer other couples' look to them, but they're powerful and they fill out the rink, and you notice them. They're a big presence. I think, I don't know what else. I mean, I think those are their strengths, really. You know, they attack everything. They don't look like they're holding back. And maybe sometimes, you know, so much attack, like you have to have control at the same time.
And it seems like this,
you know,
attack.
And if somebody stumbles on you know, like when Zach went down, 2 seasons ago on his twizzle, the last twizzle right before the end, and it was just like, oh God. Like you were just screaming at the screen, no, because it was so lovely up until a point. And then, I don't know what happened.
Do you think a team like this will always just sort of be up against a tough panel that just doesn't get behind the look? I mean, because it seems like, I don't know if this is maybe more of an Eastern European sort of aesthetic that they definitely do not fit. And it just seems, there seems to be a lot of resistance to them, where maybe those same judges, it's easier for them to get behind someone like Chock and Bates because they're more aesthetically what they're used to. But you're saying, go ahead and lean in.
Yeah, because that plays into it. When you're a human being with eyes and you're looking at what's pleasing to you. Now, everybody has a different idea of what's pleasing, but when you look at, a physically beautiful, svelte couple that, like beauty, line, legs, like all of this stuff, arms, like all of this. Yeah. I mean, there is a certain, we're ice dancers. So there's all sorts of a vast range of what ice dancers look like. But I think there is a tendency to have, a certain Eastern, like you say, sort of a European look. And that's
the first comment that everyone always makes about them. But at the same point, they've used it to their strength in the past. I thought that the Olympic season in 2018, when they did the Beth Hart kind of blues piece, and it was, they just let go. They were aggressive, but they had chemistry, but they leaned in, and it pushed out, right? And I think that
it was raw. Like the great thing about that piece, like the concept and the whole thing, it was sort of gritty and raw. It was great. Yeah. It wasn't just nicey nice. Yeah.
Next year they have to do the the blues hip hop kind of
street dance.
Last time they did it, this team did Baby Got Back, and I would say not at this point in their careers, right? Like that was for them. But I think at this point it'll be interesting to see what they do, because I think that could work either way for them. If they go a blues route or something like they did with that free dance, it could be good. If they go hip hop, that's a risk for anyone, right? But
it's also like swing, like the genre is kind of spread out. You know what I mean? It's, swing and crump and, like it's kind of all over the place. So I think, people are going to pick it and go, maybe I'm not great crumper. Maybe I'm not great hip hopper. Maybe I have to go over towards, the swing side of things, or, you have to pick what you're going to like really be dynamic at. But
do you think swing sells anymore, or is it dated, like in a Torvill and Dean type way?
A little dated, but you could always do, you could always take swing and just kind of mash it up a little bit and sort of bring it up to sort of today, street today.
Okay. How about Papadakis and Cizeron not being here? Last year, it felt like they were on, maybe people were getting tired of them. They had been at the top for 5 or 6 seasons, and they have a very signature style, even though they've been doing more risks lately. But it seemed like they had kind of hit the end of the line. I know that they had discussed burnout, and they had some mistakes at the Europeans, and then the judges nailed them, and they put Vicky and Nikki, as you said, Victoria and Nikita, ahead of them, and that was controversial. They just chose not to go to these world championships because they didn't want a new piece to go out before it had ever been seen, and they didn't necessarily want to go back to their old material. Do you think that the judges will almost like view it as a comeback, because now we haven't seen them in, it'll feel like 18 months or longer by the time they actually compete? So is that a strength for them, that the judges, we haven't seen the same thing from them?
I think it could be. I do. I think last season, I think they had said that they were working on new material and it wasn't quite ready. They had no outings. Like they didn't get out this season because of COVID and travel and blah, blah, blah. So they had no outings. So what are you going to do? Go out your first time at Worlds with no, so, and I think that as much as I loved the free dance, the free dance that, the poem, I wasn't convinced about their rhythm dance. And I thought Nikki and Vicky have a fabulous rhythm dance. The Singing in the Rain to me was wonderful. It was wonderful. The straight line sequence, I thought, just captured everything. It was a perfect package, a perfect vehicle tied up with a little bow and a present to all of us. And I thought that Gabby and Guillaume's, the fame wasn't going to be able to, and that's where your momentum starts. So, it was probably smart that they took a rest this year and just kind of held back, and now they can go full guns blazing.
And they did, I'm sad on one hand because they showed us that they were doing a tango, was what they were working on. It was actually really interesting choreographically. It was different than what they had done. I know that they'd done it as like a rhythm dance, but it was more nuanced and developed, though we didn't see the whole thing. But I have to say, knowing this panel and looking at it here, I think they made a very good strategic choice not to go, because I think they would have then had to deal with having, they had COVID, they're coming back, and I think they would have maybe not won. And that's
exactly. And, it gave us a chance to miss them.
I miss them so much.
You know what I mean? So I feel like I miss them, and now I'm really anxious. I want to see them. So I think it builds up a little bit, in me at least, like the showdown now is coming. And I think it was the right thing to do. Maybe for their minds, maybe for their bodies, like the whole thing. Now it's like, now there's something to talk about. It's like the Russians versus Ty and Randy, it's like nobody had a baby, but like when Rodina had a baby or whatever, and then they can't, and it was going to be a head-to-head, and it was going to be the showdown, and sort of, I feel like this is sort of like that version of that in a way. Yeah.
It's really interesting because I thought I'm now obsessed with this Vicky Nikki tag. That's far over how I'm going to say it. It's my new favorite because I also enjoyed their rhythm dance very much. The free dance for me, although better than the Michael Jackson, like I thought some of their lifts and things were I thought the straight line one in particular was really unappealing.
A little messy.
Yeah, and some of them were just sort of recycled, but I felt they were giving you like easy to like, right? Like it didn't take any risks.
Right, it was their safe place. It was their romantic, the feeling, and it was like what they do best. And yeah, I agree with that lift though completely. The one where he slides on the knee and like she's rolling around, and it's sort of like, and that, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to do that, but I don't know if the payoff pays off for as hard as that is. So yeah, it's going to have its moments. I actually thought when they skated it last year was smooth. It was smoother.
And it was a bit more sincere in the face. I thought he was really,
I don't know, because maybe it was fresher and, it was the first time. But then that's the thing about bringing a program back. It shifts a little. Parts of it get stale, parts of it shift. It's a different dynamic somehow. So, but it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Now, as an adult skater, the one thing that Galina is always yelling me about is being a Pinocchio skater, because
what does that mean?
It means that you're not bending your knees enough and that you look tall and stiff, right? And
I never did this. Pinocchio skate. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it's because you're lying. Yeah.
Wooden, like Pinocchio.
Like puppet stiff, like wooden legs.
Yes. When Nikita does his twizzles, he is so high in the knee and high in the shoulders. How are they getting the marks that they are getting for the grade of execution? I can't unsee it. When you start to,
Do you remember, like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 seasons ago, he was like a whirling dervish. Like when he went into the twizzles, it was like watching a hurricane. You weren't quite sure. And I think that Julien somehow, I thought his twizzles were always a little bit wild. He seemed a little wild, like when you see a bucking bronco and you just don't know what's happening. And then when they went to Julien, I felt like there was a little bit of work about bringing him in, containing him for more control, so things were easy for her to follow and stay side by side. And I actually think his twizzles have improved from the wild, crazy, just wild energy that they used to be. But yeah, I feel like he's almost like that horse that wants to go and let it rip, but the reins have to get pulled in. You know what I mean? So
Elena Ilyenik, he used to just go and she would have to start whenever he was ready. Like he was just
he would, and I think the twizzle is his thing. It's like he just goes. It's like a blender. And so how are you going to get 2 blenders to, be right with each other? So it is. I think that's a tricky element for him. because he tends to go wild a little bit.
She is the most improved skater that I've seen in this discipline, because years ago when they first got together, everyone was like, why would he dump Bill Yannick to skate with Victoria Sinitsina? And he used to start the twizzles 10 feet away
back there and end up next door.
Yes, and end up next to her. Now she has really improved her glide and her performance. She looks just like Novka. I think like there's definitely a styling going on here, but I think that she is really almost a strength of this team at this point for me, that I'm watching her more than I'm watching him.
Yeah, she's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, just she belongs in Hollywood somewhere, really beautiful. And, also Stepanova Bukin, beautiful girl.
Oh my gosh.
The longest leg I think I've ever seen in my life on a skater. Those legs are long, but sometimes I think they get a little dangly. Mm-hmm. She's got the most spectacular figure with those long legs. And I think sometimes when it comes to an exit out of a lift or something, I think they get a little messy.
They also have the most random free dance I have ever seen, where it's going from an anonymous
Justin Timberlake
to Crimea River, and they're bringing down the key, and it has nothing to do with each other, and it's just a mess. I just don't understand.
It's not the style, it's the key change that's so offensive to me. They didn't quite match the keys at all. It's upsetting.
So that's where your priorities lie.
I guess. That and his hair, yeah.
What did you make of Fear and Gibson? Because to me, they're kind of the team that everyone is getting.
Disco Brits. Oh my goodness. I loved their free. I wasn't as enamored with their rhythm dance, but I love their free. Mm-hmm. They've got something. Mm-hmm.
They're current, they're fresh, they have perspective, I think. Some people say that they don't have as difficult transitions. Do you notice that compared to the other teams?
Maybe the transitions aren't, I can't say it's a difficulty thing for me. I think they have good transitions, but maybe they're not like super leany, kind of, do you know what I mean? They're a little bit more strict and proper upright. A little bit maybe, but I really like them.
And the curve lift, when she hops up on the shoulder and then they just go, and this is the program I think most of us talk about. Like this was the free dance that always gets the most excitement, I think, maybe outside of the snake program.
And and their stationary lift, fabulous. Like exclamation, really good. And it's tight, you know what I mean? Like they could probably do pretty well with a street dance next year, because they're like tight and really on it, and they're specific. You can tell the couples that have that really swaying freeform upper body, and the ones that are a little bit more tight and strict. Like to me, Gilles and Poirier are a little bit more upright. They don't. He actually has a bit more of upper body, like he covers more around in his upper body, but she's a little bit more proper, I think.
Her posture is, I think, one of their weaknesses. I know that
I think their posture is really up. I don't see a whole lot, like it's different when you're in a lift and you lean back. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just kind of like as you're skating and hold, like the way your neck reaches and your upper back bends a little bit, and the way your arms just kind of are watery, sort of like that. They're more tight. Well, do you remember how Jane and Chris, Torvill and Dean, were kind of very specific? And they're sort of like that, which doesn't surprise me because Chris works with them a lot, I guess. So
their rhythm dance was certainly very Torvill and Dean.
They're
trying to give them a flow in the free dance that I really liked. Again, I don't know if they were second. I mean, to me, I thought that they had a really solid free dance, and it was an emotional moment, and they skated it, and it was solid. And I think that they've been a team that's been knocking on the door, and this was their moment. Second in the free dance, I don't know if it was second, but I think that they were definitely a top three for me. But I think that
I like them. I've always liked them. I really like their Starry Night. you know, like I've loved some of their stuff in the past. And I was just
Alfred
like,
Hitchcock that I thought was so.
Oh my God, the best.
Yeah. I think that they have a unique perspective because they've had to, you know, they're not built like with these long French bodies that are just like the ice and melting, you know.
No Pinocchio legs.
Yeah. No Pinocchio legs on them, but who else did you like? Okay, what did you make of this? The team that used to be Danish, now they're Canadian. They get way more attention because, you know, she is this lovely ice dancer with her limbs.
Fournier, Baudry, and Sorensen,
Mm-hmm.
Loved their rhythm dance, the Bonnie and Clyde.
Mm-hmm.
Loved
Creative.
it.
Yeah.
Creative. She looked fabulous with the, you know, just the whole thing. That was also, to me, a beautiful package tied up with a bow and a gift given, like, they're very versatile. I feel like, and they're tall, like you notice them, like, you know, they're a presence. I look at her 90% of the time. I don't notice him as much. He's handsome and tall and, you know, he's gorgeous. And I just feel like he's not showing himself as much as he could.
And the costume was terrible that he was in. She had this beautiful.
For the free, yeah.
Yeah, and she had all the stuff going. But there's just something, I don't know, it's about her, you know, the look of the whole thing, but my eye just kind of focuses on her naturally. And I keep trying to remind myself, watch him too, because he's beautiful to look at, but he disappears a little bit when they're skating for me. I don't know. I want to notice him more. But I love them.
Too highbrow. I don't know if someone went on a yoga retreat and this was like when they were talking about like we have a responsibility to dance, to free, to do this.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to interview. No. I've never really heard them speak. I just watched
the interview. It was the actual spoken word that was going over the free dance.
Oh, you're talking about that. Oh, I thought you were talking about an interview they did separately.
No.
Okay, so you're talking about the literature of spoken word within the.
Yes.
Okay.
It felt like the poor man's Gabby Guillaume free dance. Do you know what I mean? It felt slightly derivative that way, but not as successful.
So I was on a yoga retreat, Renee, and we were meditating in the morning as one does in Hawaii, and the beautiful music is coming on, and then all of a sudden Tina Turner starts talking that we all come from the mother's womb. And like, we're all spiritual mothers. And like, this is what this free dance has reminded me of all year. It's just, it's deep. Okay.
I had actually forgotten about that. Now you're bringing it back to me. Yes. I was a little confused in the beginning. Like the first time I saw it, as it was unfolding, I was a little bit like, huh? Where's going? Where are we going? And then I sort of like the longer the program went, the more I was like, oh, okay, here we are. But it threw me a little bit at the top there. Yeah, a little bit.
How about the younger Canadians, Marjorie and Zach, who did the Rio program with all the flash and all?
They are adorable. They're Junior World. They're coming off of juniors, right? Yeah. So they're kind of fresh to this. That was like, they were like two little wind-up toys that you wound them up and you just set them off and they went, go, 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 like every beat, da, da. And by the end, I was just like, damn it, you guys made it all the way through and you hardly breathed or took a beat. Wow, that's youth for you. That's youth. When you're young, you can do that. I got a little weary of it. It was the one thing that distracted me was, I don't know if you noticed, but I did right away. She kind of spoke every word as it was going, like her mouth was opening and closing the entire way. She was singing along with the lyric. And you know how sometimes when you see really over the top ballroom dancers, like the mouth was really, her mouth was choreographed the whole way. Mm. I was distracted by it a little bit. They're adorable though.
They had a lot of energy to give.
A lot. Like that was impressive.
There was color.
That was impressive.
There was sparkle. It was
from beginning to end. And neither of them like looked weary. Neither one. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was 4 minutes of go, 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 go. And they made it to the end. I was just like, that was impressive, you know, like no break practically.
I wonder if they did, last year when they won the Junior Worlds, I thought that they were such good technical skaters, but I thought that I didn't have a sense of their personality. And like this year, I was like, whoa, okay, so maybe they'll settle in a medium next year, and
Yeah, but maybe it was intentional with their youth and their young look and their spunky. Maybe that was probably a good choice to just wind them up and let them go, and they went for it, with this. It had tons of energy, just tons.
Now, how about Hawayek and Baker? What do you make, about their?
I felt like I liked their short, the rhythm dance, and I liked their long as well. Like to me, like they're a couple who is very, very versatile. Like they can go from the disco-y stuff, and the next night it's sort of a deep Philip Glass. I think that it's just my nature to lean into that kind of deep Philip Glass, kind of a little askew kind of thing. Like, I like that for me personally. And I think they do it well. I think that, like I said, they have the best 1 foot sequence. It was gorgeous. And I thought they skated really well. I'm glad they were able to move up, but I think overall they were held down a little. I don't know why.
Do you see them having potential beyond the Olympics? Like, do you think they're a team that the panel would get behind, or do you think they're kind of?
I don't know. I don't know. It's sort of, it feels like something is.
I get that impression too.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I like them a lot, and they may have further to go.
I think the British team is ready to take off right after this, because I think there'll be a lot of retirements. I think.
Oh, there's going to be a mass exodus.
Yeah,
sure.
Olympic cycles between Chock and Bates and Hubbell and Donohue and Papadakis and Cizeron and Vicky and Nikki. I mean, they're just going to clear out. I don't know.
You just like saying that a lot, Vicky and Nikki. Vicky and Nikki.
Yeah, how did we not think of that? Yeah.
It's like a kid's show, like Vicky, Nikki, Ricky, and something else.
I'm intrigued, Renee, your thoughts on the Italians. So for me, sometimes when I watch the Italians, it sort of reminds me of at times how I felt about the Shibutanis in some way, that I felt like, even though I may not be emotionally connecting to all of the material, I really appreciate a crispness and a clearly well-trained technical approach, but yet I don't see how they're going to be able to sort of
break through.
Yeah, kind of.
Those two as a couple, they are both so strong. And if you really pay close attention, they skate so close together. Every time there's a shift or a gesture, his hand is right there. Her hand is right there. Like there's zero effort about a change of grip. It's almost like invisible. Do you know what I mean? And that's something people I don't think appreciate and notice very much, that every time, they don't even have to look at each other. One hand goes out, the other one is right there. Like without even looking. I think they could skate their programs blindfolded. Honest to God, I really do. They skate close together. There isn't any bump or bubble or nothing. And they're both terrific technicians. I loved their La La Land program from, what was that, 2 seasons ago? I thought that was a terrific vehicle to show all of that. My jaw was really down. Like, I was so impressed with it. I was like, oh, it was difficult. The transitions were slick and, like I said, invisible effort. And somehow on this season's free dance, the music lost me. It was not memorable. I can't even tell you what it was.
No, I'm trying to remember, and I was like, I can't tell you.
The Greece program, because unfortunately, I think that this team lacks in the personality department. I think that is probably their biggest weakness, is just that lack of star quality. even though they are really good skaters, as you said. But to me, they're doing Greece. Smart and Diaz were doing Greece the last 2 seasons, and they go, Smart and Diaz go camp, and they go, she's doing the Olivia Newton-John thing, and this is more the Rizzo take, but this.
Yeah. They're a little bit of similar size too. Do you know what I mean? But they're a smaller team, so their presence isn't like girl, boy, that kind of long, lanky look. So they're a smaller team, but he handles her magnificently because they're sort of similar size. I get what you're saying. I guess I appreciate them mostly for their technical aspects. And I think the personality thing could be up and out more if we're going to really consider them to break through. But somehow
Barbara Fusar-Poli has more personality than anyone we've ever seen.
Of course, yeah.
So maybe there's no room for it in the ring. It's all Barbara's energy.
Tucked it out. She took all the personality out of the room. Yeah, Barbara is a huge personality. You're right. And I don't know what that's going to take, because you would think some of that would rub off, but maybe their nature as people is just like that. Barbara's nature is definitely out there. It's out. But I think a lot of that has to do with your nature. Like you said, Shimatani, again, just the nature of their personality, just their DNA. You're structured and your DNA builds you a certain way. And you can try and work your way beyond it, but is that really going to make you genuine? You sort of have to be who you are and embellish. So maybe that's just not their nature.
What program was your favorite of the World Championships?
Free dance, short dance, anything.
What are you going to rewatch?
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. You know what? It wasn't the best competition for me. So.
But there were some memorable ones. I
really loved Singing in the Rain. I really loved Bonnie and Clyde. I really liked the Brits free dance.
Yeah,
I agree. The Brits free dance, since they've done it, and I know that they're coming up with unique stuff to surprise us for next season. I'm hoping that Chock and Bates have something as good as the snake dance, or even the Elvis. I thought was so good when we saw them. I really like the refresh that Marie-France has done on this team, and I'm curious. I'm hoping for Papadakis and Cizeron that we see something great, because they've had longer in the development.
I do too. They're special. They're just special. They always have been. It's not that, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. They've always been special. Always. To me, I don't know. I just sort of feel like when I watch them, I'm sort of I'm mesmerized. I'm just mesmerized. I stop thinking. I just lean into it. I just naturally do. Maybe it's just because that's my nature. Like I sort of feel that that's my style in a way too. Like if I were a skater, I would wish to be like that.
Yeah, same.
That's, what I mean? Like I would wish like I want to just float in their stream. Like that's who I wish I could have been or would want to be. Like I just relate to that. That's the style I like.
And what I would like to commend on just like the Montreal team in general is, we've seen, for instance, in other disciplines where so many top skaters come from the same schools and you can spot it a mile away.
It's like
and
a stamp,
but with the Montreal idea, the only common denominator is that things are unique, interesting, creative, artistic, all of these things, but each one is so different than the other, and they kind of maintain an individual personality, which to me is the point of ice dance in so many ways. So I'm so impressed that they're able to churn out as many variations on a theme that they're able to
It's
do.
a nod to them, because that approach, you think it would get so watered down because so many teams just swarmed in there. Everybody wanted to be there and they kept saying, yes, we'll take you. And then I just thought, oh my gosh, when is the dam going to break? But it's true. But I think because of, especially Marie-France and Patch, they think their approach to things is very thought out and meticulous, and there's a lot of attention paid to the artistry of things and making sure the looks don't just mush together and everybody just like cookie cutter, stamp, stamp, stamp. And I think it takes a lot of energy and patience and, you know, thought to put into all of those couples, because they all deserve your full attention. And it's hard to spread it out that many ways, but they are managing. It's unbelievable, really.
They've gotten better at it too, because a couple of years ago they were starting to get criticized because I think everyone in the entire discipline of ice dance wanted to go the kind of the Papadakis and Cizeron route until they realized that they couldn't do it. So.
Everybody wants to jump on that boat. So, but you know, I think pulling Scott Moyer in a little bit and having, you know, Chris maybe works with them, you know, like they're pulling from different sources. They have to, because you need that outside influence, and they allow people to do that because it's, you know, I really appreciated when I was skating actually that our coach said, go seek people. I'm not going to take it personally if you want to go work with da 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 da. So, you know, Gorsha and I, we sought out people actually who didn't skate. We sought out dancers and, you know, people who just moved in a different way that didn't.
Didn't you work with Twyla Tharp a bit?
We worked with one of her dancers.
Okay.
Amazing. One of her dancers from her company, actually. And he stepped out, you know, when he retired, he stepped out and he started choreographing, Keith Young. And we did work with Keith, but he was, you know, a protege of Twyla's. And, you know, and I always appreciated having the safety of doing that and not feeling like if we stepped away to work with somebody that, you know, we wouldn't be allowed back or something like that, because some people are afraid to step away. The coach gets all wound up and insecure about it, and you don't grow that way. You know, I remember just feeling it. Yeah, say it again.
When you were a pro, I was wondering who choreographed you. I just always remember you in this plank lift where your body was, and he like lifted you or something. I'm gonna have to go find this. It was on Saturday night, you know, like it was.
We worked with many people, but just about everybody didn't skate.
Okay.
We worked with Yuri Posakov from San Francisco Ballet. That was a really good one for us. We worked with people who did skate, Christopher Dean. But mostly we sought out people who didn't skate because they don't think in skating terms. Like they would stand on the floor. And it's so funny because all of the ones who didn't skate would always say, you know, I'm not a fan of those crossovers. Why do you need so many of those? And we'd be like, we need speed to do anything. We need speed to hold the lift how you want it. We need speed like to do because they're all like, why do you do so many of those crossovers? You need speed. That's the one, you know, and they don't get that it's forward and backwards. So sometimes it takes a lot for me to cry, a lot. You really have to like send me right over the edge to make me cry. But I do remember on the few occasions I cried, it was out of frustration because I couldn't get what the non-skating choreographer was trying to give us. And it's a translation, and it's a hard translation to get from the floor to the ice, but it's possible. And you come up with really interesting things when you do that. So yeah, I think a lot of people probably for the rhythm dance next year are going to be turning to hip hop people and, you know, learning stuff on the floor and trying to get it to translate.
It's like the risk reward thing. I think that this rhythm dance we could see like a great program, like a Prince program. We could see a Baby Got Back. It could go a myriad of ways for the Olympic audience. And that's what keeps us watching ice dance for the good stuff. So Thank you so much, Renée. This was so much fun talking to you about ice dance.
It was lovely talking to you both. Delightful afternoon.